Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. I'm your host, Mike Bara, in a warm, kind of a cloudy, cool Las Vegas day. It's only going to be like 96 today, getting a little break from that 110-degree temperature in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is a special Friday afternoon edition news update and some crypto talk with my special guest, Zester. You guys all know him from Whiskey and Wisdom. He'll be on in just a few minutes. The YouTube side is live while we're waiting for the Rumble folks to catch up. I just posted the link there. We'll go ahead and go through the usual stuff, go through a few advertisements, let everybody know what is happening. Please do not forget that we want you to visit our wonderful sponsors, the CBD Gurus, over at the cbdgurus.com, where you can pick up all kinds of, actually, let's do it like this. Pick up all kinds of great, awesome CBD products for your health. Hit the wholesale tab, slide past the Mark Z wholesale and down to the Mike B wholesale. Type in your discount code ALIEN, no capital A, no S on the end, just ALIEN, and pick up this week's special from Matt and Lucas, the CBD Gurus. You get some special deals for orders over $50. You get 50,000 dong. For orders over 100, you get 100,000 dong. Wow, and at 150, you get dong and dinar. So that's a pretty good deal. And they have all kinds of cool stuff at wholesale prices this week. The sleep gummies are wonderful if you have any issues with sleeping. Various immune system boosters, the broad spectrum, super broad spectrum oils, and the 10 milligram THC sparkling water. I remember one Whiskey and Wisdom where Mark was drinking that stuff and he just got more and more mellow and relaxed as the show went on. It's great stuff. It's great for your health. The CBDgurus.com. Please also do not forget to visit our other wonderful sponsors, the folks over at MikeBaraPets.com. Now, MikeBaraPets.com, you can pick up all kinds of reishi and Coriolis versicolor based mushroom supplements for the health of your pets, your dogs, your cats, your horsies, and actually for yourself, for human beings. Hit the shop now button, slip on into the product line, and you can pick up all kinds of cool stuff. Now, I have Barkley on mushrooms, on the mush puppies and the mojos, which are wonderful, wonderful doggy treats. These are basically, the mojos are liver-based treats for your pet, filled with the good stuff, filled with the good mushrooms and deer antler extract and all kinds of stuff. Mush puppies are a little cookie, and the mojos, and I've got him on the special sauce. He's improved a lot. He had several issues with his back joints. He was very, very hurting. He was not moving very well. In the morning, especially, he was extremely stiff. Got him on the super sauce in addition to the mojos and mush puppies. He is now doing great. They also have premium cat food for cats, special sauce for the cats. Chill doggies are wonderful if your dog is high strung or has separation anxiety. I give Barkley this when Dave and I go out and leave him behind. He gets upset, but then I'll check in on him on the Simply Safe monitor, and he's just chilled in the middle of the floor after I give him that. Mush ponies for the horses and donkeys, and the Enforce line of immune system boosters and products for human consumption. You get the Enforce Plus, the Enforce Clarity for brain function, the Enforce Restore for your organs like your pancreas, blood sugar, that kind of thing, the Enforce Shield. They got everything. They got gummies, they've got coffees, they've got chocolates, they've got starter packs. If you have a question about your pet's health, send it to Diana at mikebarapets@gmail.com. Link is in the description to all this stuff. They are absolutely wonderful folks over there. Also, please do not forget that you can slip on over to the Rumble side of the house. You can put comments in there. You can also subscribe to the channel. We've got over 6,500 followers, but only like 120, 150 subscribers. For a mere $5 a month, you can support the show. Jen and I really, really do appreciate that. Or you can choose to Rumble Rant with a little green $ button. And what the advantage of both of those is that your questions, when we get to questions and answers from Jen or Zester or whoever, it goes right to the top of the pile. Also, one last thing, do not forget, please, to slide into the LifeWave folks on the link in the description to get yourself the LifeWave phototherapy patches this has been incredible. I'm now up to 6 people that have told me about these things, about their success stories with them and how amazing it's been. I use the X39 and the SP6. I have my own amazing story. I went in after 3 months of using the X39 and the SP6 together. I went in, I've lost 12 pounds. My blood work is perfect. My A1C is down. Everything is down. Everything is working great. I feel great. Now I have to turn my microphone up. So it's like, okay. So some days I have my microphone up, but everybody says I'm screaming. Then the next day it's too quiet. So all I can tell you is link in the description, the LifeWave line of products. These patches, they're actually made of little woven strands of crystals like rose quartz and other crystals that have incredible healing powers. There's the Ice Wave for pain. There's the SP6, which balances your hormones, reduces your appetite, and helps you lose weight. I've had terrific success with that already. If it keeps going the way it's going, I'm going to be looking cut in just a few months. Silent Nights for sleeping, again, great stuff. Check it out. And the Cellargize Morning is now, it's a new product. It's like a Tang kind of drink that really, really feeds your body and you do really, really well. So that's good stuff. We have one other subject we'll talk about a little bit later when we get Zester on. And we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency here in a minute. But first, I have to give you an RV news update. So I want to do that now. Let me double check my sources just one more time. Nope, that's not it. And one other one. Just double check at the very last minute. Okay, so what can I tell you? Well, what I can tell you is that the news has been off the hook insane the last couple of days, especially yesterday. I'm getting hit from 5 different sources, 5 different ways that are telling me that this thing is done, that we are ready to go, and nobody can quite figure out why it hasn't shown publicly. Well, I do have another source who explained to me why it hasn't shown publicly. I can't tell you any of that. What I can tell you is that all funds have propagated to all tiers. What we're waiting for now is either a public announcement from Iraq or some sort of official movement on the Forex for the Iraqi dinar rate. Tony told you that there was an announcement in the mosques this morning in Iraq. I cannot confirm that. I do not know that that's the case, but I cannot confirm that. But it is possible that they could make such an announcement in the mosque to the people, but that it's not showing yet anywhere on any official page. In fact, let me get right over to the central bank, CBI.IQ website, and double check. And the rate, is still showing at 1310. The dinar has already revalued. It is going to come in at 347 for public consumption. Redemption center rates are going to be higher. I do have one contact that told me, and I think I can repeat this because it's very general. If you knew the things that were going on behind the scenes, you would say that this is the most ridiculous fantasy novel ever, and it wouldn't even get published. It was so crazy. It was so out of there. So that's what I get. I can only tell you this. I can tell you that my information is that this should be our last weekend for those of us that are struggling financially. Now, I was 99.99999% positive it was going to happen on Monday. Various things stepped in to stop it. There is a 3-letter agency issue that has been bypassed, is the latest thing I'm told. Now, since that's been bypassed, why we're still waiting, I don't know. But that was bypassed about 90 minutes ago. So it literally could happen at any time. And that's where we are right now. All right. That's at least what I have. My guest today is, of course, Zester from the Whiskey and Wisdom Show. You guys know him there. Cryptocurrency expert. And, Zach, I wouldn't, I guess, I don't know if you watched your dad's show this morning or if you in the loop on what he's hearing. But if there's any update from the Mark Z side of things, go ahead and give that to us now. And I will say that you were saying your dad said the bonds are all paid. I don't believe that's what he said.
I would say because of all of the crypto and how busy things have been on the cryptocurrency side, I have not gotten an opportunity in the past probably about 48 to 72 hours to really be focused on anything outside of crypto with how much going on. So I would have to defer to Pops on that bond update for certain. I would have to defer because it has been one exciting week on the crypto side.
Yeah, well, I think what happens is people mischaracterize what he says, and then it gets around. Oh, Mark said this, and I'm like even seeing it in my Telegram chat, and I'm like, nah, that's not exactly what he said. Yeah, Mark did not say that. Gina says I have my larger dogs on the mush ponies, though they're still really good. That's right. That's right. For big dogs, you can actually give them the horse stuff, the mush ponies, and it's actually got more content. So there we go. X39 Stank Dog. Yeah, those things are pretty amazing. These are amazing. Like I said, I've now got 6 friends, and I've named them who have phenomenal results with the patches, and I've only been using them 3 months. I can't wait to see where I'm at in 6 months when I reach my 6 months thing in another couple months. Oh, hey there. Let's just block you forever. Bye-bye. Sia says LifeWave's been amazing. Been using them for years. The new Power Cell powder is game changer. Yeah, that's the Cellergize. Michael Jaco was going on about that. I'm number 104 clicking thumbs up. That's a lot of clicking. Yeah, thank you, Gary. You're funny. And yeah, don't forget, if you want to, on the YouTube side of things, you can hit a super chat. We really appreciate that. It's always great to get a little extra cash for what we do here and keep the show going. And you can also, on the Rumble side, you can subscribe for a mere $5 a month, or you can Rumble Rant and get your questions to the top of the pile. So DJT signs the new crypto bill at 2:30 Eastern. And Zester, I also want to go in and look at the prices, cryptocurrency prices.
And this is the very important one today at 2:30. I know there was a lot of kind of confusion that's in the markets at the moment because people saw that 3 bills passed the House. Well, there's a very important distinction here to be made. The Genius Stablecoin Act, and it specifically is related to the framework for tokenizing gold and silver. It's related to the tokenization of real world assets and how that will work. And this also includes things like, US dollars and how the stablecoin market's going to work. That had already passed the Senate. It was in the House. Only the House needed to pass it. And so now Donald Trump is set to sign it at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time today. And that's going to be very, very exciting for the market. I would expect that the market's already kind of reacted to this in terms of the price increase from yesterday, but it'll be interesting to see whether we don't get another little bump once it's been confirmed and Trump has really put pen to paper. The other 2 bills, the Clarity Act and the Anti-CBDC Act, those have only been passed by the House. Those are now on to the Senate, and the Senate will need to then, amend them, discuss them, et cetera, before they'll be able to get to Trump's desk. The Genius Act is definitely the starting, the foundation for further crypto framework and regulations. And so it's the most important one right now. But the Anti-Central Bank Digital Currency Act was set to outlaw central bank digital currencies in the United States in perpetuity. That one's going to be very interesting when it's debated on the Senate floor.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so prices are up. XRP is at 343. I think it got as high as 364 last night before it came back a little bit. The all-time high, I believe, is
yesterday.
The all-time high on this?
Yesterday was the all-time high for XRP, and so that is actually extremely exciting because the previous all-time high was from 2017. XRP had not managed since I think it was like December 9th of 2017, or it might have been January 1st of 2018, something right around there. It's been well over 7 years since XRP has managed to break its all-time high. So for many people, they have waited a very long time to be back in the green on their XRP investment.
Yeah. And the community sentiment on it right now is 88% bullish and only 12% bearish, which means people think it's going to continue to go up. There's a couple XRP questions in here. Miguel wants to know when you see the XRP case being dismissed.
That's one where we keep getting so many different things back and forth. Ultimately, the last update we got was that a federal judge had actually forced the SEC and Ripple Labs, the company that runs the XRP ledger, the XRP blockchain. XRP ledger, Ripple Labs, and the SEC had actually come together and they had gotten the settlement number set together. The SEC agreed, XRP agreed, it was going to be done, and then a federal court judge refused to accept the settlement. And so that ended up pushing things out. Ultimately, though, the SEC has indicated it's done. It is tired of fighting this fight. It wants out. It's done. And so, Miguel, honestly, it should be extremely soon. But if we continue to have lawfare going on from some of these federal justices, well, we could end up seeing things get pushed a little further down the road. But ultimately, Miguel, I'm really not that worried. And I don't think many investors are that worried about it anymore. We've been clearly told XRP is fine and that they're going to be proceeding forward. All we don't know is how many millions of dollars, which is chump change to Ripple Labs, is Ripple Labs going to end up handing over to the SEC.
Yeah. And do you expect that if this case, when it is finally dismissed, do you expect there to be a spike in XRP, like $10, as some people are saying? Or what do you think? Do you think that's already?
I think a lot of the increases, and this is something where people are always like looking for that catalyzing moment. It's going to be this event, and the second that this is signed, at this minute, at this second, of this day, that's going to just mean that it's done, it's over. I can go sell my XRP for a ton of money, and I really don't think that's going to be the case. We're going to have catalyzing events that result in general price increases like we had this week, where we broke a very long-standing all-time high for the price of XRP, something that if you had asked anybody, and I mean 99.9% of all crypto people back in 2018, they would have told us that we were morons to expect XRP to ever break that all-time high again. That was the sentiment at the time. That was absolutely the sentiment. At that point, it was believed that we were never going to see those type of price points again. We have broken through that, and that means we are in a price discovery phase, which is going to be very volatile. And so for those that were paying attention to XRP over the night, we pretty precipitously dropped back below that all-time high of 7+ years ago. And I'm expecting that to continue. We're in a price discovery phase. Bitcoin has never been this valuable. XRP has never been this valuable. And that means that the market needs to establish a baseline. Until we get that baseline, expect extreme volatility. And for us to be, I'm not worried, but for there to be occasional times where you see the prices plummet for, a day or so, and then we start to see another baseline be established.
Yeah. And, I think it's that some people just don't understand. The rumor is, of course, that XRP is the transfer medium for the new quantum financial system, which most of us believe in. I think your dad believes in it too. After the post-RV, do you think people just don't understand or appreciate or believe that that's really what XRP's function is going to be? So they're looking at it from a non-financial reset, RV reset thing, and that's why the price isn't going up, or that's why there's skepticism, or is it something else that's driving?
I think ultimately that I think it's a little presumptuous to assume that XRP in its exact form and the way that it is today is even fit to be the entire new financial system. Ultimately, for especially traditional investors, we're going to see market share. We need to see the tokenization of real world assets. We need to see billions and billions of dollars of tokenized gold and silver on the XRP ledger. Until we see those things, we really can't hope, but for so much. Ultimately, it's a fundamental value. XRP as a blockchain, as the services they provide get used by more and more companies and more governments, we're going to continually see rises in the value of XRP. And we also have to see how Ripple Labs is planning on positioning this. I would honestly argue that in terms of some of the price points I've seen out there for XRP, those, in my opinion, are very, very, very far off in the future. Ultimately, right now, cryptocurrency just exceeded a $4 trillion market cap yesterday for the first time ever. $4 trillion. Mm-hmm. That is one buttload of money. That is a massive, massive, massive market. But we have to then keep in mind that it is the market capitalization. It is the overall market of cryptocurrency that is dictating the value of your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is sitting at $117,607 with a market capitalization of 2.3 trillion. XRP is sitting at $3.43 with a market capitalization of 203 billion. That means that XRP is essentially 1/12 the size of Bitcoin. And so even if XRP were to pass Bitcoin, and I mean surpass the market cap of Bitcoin, that would still just be 12 times 3.43. You'd be looking at 40 some dollar XRP. That would be if it became larger than Bitcoin, worth over $2.3 trillion. Things like that take time, and they're not going to occur overnight. It's going to take a while to achieve that. $10, that's where I think people should be saying, hey, let's look at $5. When can we expect Ripple to be at $5? And then let's set goalposts, essentially, because it's going to take time. The system has to move money over. The system has to start to be adopted and utilized. It's going to take a while.
Yeah. Now, XRP, of course, has a sister product or coin, XLM, which is a slightly different technology, but it's interesting because its all-time high was just a few days yesterday, actually, 51.
Oh no, Stellar had a higher one back. Stellar actually had an all-time high at the same time as XRP did. Stellar's all-time high from back then is somewhere around 86 cents, I believe, 87 cents, and that occurred January 3rd of 2018. XLM and XRP have both been in the very, very much the same boat when it comes to their value.
It got to 93. You're right. It got to almost 94 cents. January 4th, 2018, 8 years ago. Okay. So, but it's interesting because I do shows with Jen, and Jen's pretty smart financially. She's picking up a lot of stuff, and she got remote viewingly. She got that XLM would actually give you, you'd get a better return on your money for XLM than you did for XRP. Do you think that's possible? And what do you think?
Well, I think that one kind of goes back to kind of like where I was talking about the potential price of XRP. Well, look at the market capitalizations. Look at how much money is necessary to move the market. Stellar is currently sitting right now at a $14 billion market cap, whereas XRP is sitting at over a $200 billion market cap. Now, if we were to imagine just that same jump that we were to imagine of XRP achieving the market cap of Bitcoin and being worth 40 some dollars, that would have been a 12 times increase in the value of your XRP. Well, if we were to go from a 14 billion to a 200 and some billion dollar market cap, we're going to see that 12, 14, 15x price increase on Stellar, just as Stellar is achieving the same price point as XRP. And so there's a lot more technical wiggle room if we are to imagine how much money it takes to move the market. It takes way less money to move the Stellar market than it does to move the XRP market.
So if you had $500 to put into cryptocurrencies, and we'll talk about how to do that in a minute, which one of those two would you put it in, or would you put it in something else?
I always recommend that people take a more diversified approach than I think many in the conservative crypto space. Things have been very cut dry. These are the only cryptos, and I do not follow that logic.
Yeah,
because ultimately we are moving towards, and I'm not planning on and hoping we're not leaving the idea of capitalism behind. We need a multitude of different products, services, corporations, projects, etc., that are all competing against each other. And so I envision a future for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, XLM, and all of these tokens living in the future. Maybe just with different specific use cases or for specific things. Great explanation for that would be to just look at what they're exactly planning on doing. Ultimately, XRP wants to be a cross-border means of payment. They want to be a way for countries to settle payments. They want to be a way for companies to settle payments. That's what they're looking to do. Well, other companies don't have any interest. They're not in that sector. That's going to end up being a separate sector in the same way that we would look at auto manufacturing and we would separate that from, say, heavy machinery manufacturing. We're not, it's apples and oranges. They're not comparable. And I think that in many cases, like XRP and Bitcoin are really not comparable. I use analogies or I use comparisons between the two because it makes it easier for people to understand. But ultimately, they work in entirely different businesses.
Yeah. By the way, Shara, thank you for the Super Rumble rant. That is very much appreciated. I wonder whatever happened to Theta. Theta had an idea that would have worked about 10 years ago, but now it's kind of I don't know. I can't even find it anymore. Big Square was big on Theta.
I had a good amount of Theta back in 2018, 2019. I had a good bit of Theta. And I really was on board until they had their migration, and the company really messed things up during the migration.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too is I think that the idea is to resell bandwidth or use bandwidth that was not doing anything on the old internet. But I think we're in a position now where we're going to have a completely new network, and so Theta is just going to become irrelevant because it's fixing a problem that doesn't matter anymore. It'd be like it's like something that makes tanks work better, and nobody's going to use tanks anymore because now we have drones. So it's like, that's great. It's yesterday's technology. It's like making the best.
Very true. It was really what Theta was planning on releasing was Web3, and we already have Web3.
So.
And then Theta was like, "Oh, never mind. You already got Web3. We're going to release Web4." And then guess what? Other companies went ahead and released Web4 on a more traditional system. And so Theta has like constantly moved the benchmark, and every other company has beat them to their own benchmarks. And so I don't know. I think I still have a few Theta rattling around somewhere.
Me too.
But I'm not certain where it even is.
Several people liked your kitty headrest there.
Oh, yeah, I lost my kitty headrest. Where'd she go? Where'd it go?
And then Joe wants to know what happened to the mustache from Wednesday night. Did we tease you? Did we tease you and torture you into shaving it down, or what?
No. I just, whenever it irritates me, that's when it becomes a worry. Otherwise, I really don't think about it. It's the second that it starts to get scruffy in the corners of corners of the lips, and it's poking and stuff like that, then it's got to go.
What gets me is when one of the hairs gets up and starts tickling my nose. That drives me insane. So, okay. So KMK says, do you think all those bills need to pass before we RV? No, I don't think they have anything to do with the RV, really. I don't think we're waiting on any legislation. Some other people do. As my understanding is everything is sitting there, but there's been some deep state institutional gamesmanship trying to keep this thing from showing for the last week. They've held it off for almost a week now. I don't think they can hold it off much longer. So that's what I think, Zester. I don't know. You got any opinions on that? We're going to kind of go back and forth between RV and
Yeah. No, I would tend to agree with you entirely on that one, Mike. I think there's a lot of different things that are all working. They're all on different parallel timelines. Those timelines may intersect at some point, but ultimately they're not stopping.
Yeah, when I think what happens is when the rate shows, and all of a sudden you'll see all this legislation be passed within an hour. Boom, it'll just go. So, so Carolina Girl asks Zester, is XRP safe to keep in the Uphold app? What do you think about that?
Carolina Girl, and so this is always kind of the same one I have for any of the different exchanges. And so whenever you're holding your money inside of an exchange, keep in mind that there's an extra point of failure that has occurred. You are trusting them to take care of your crypto. And a very common phrase in the crypto space is not your keys, not your crypto. A very important part of this financial shift that blockchain technology is bringing, and this real financial revolution, is self-custody. It is people taking over responsibility for their finances. And in that regard, I'm a major proponent of going ahead and starting on that process, and also avoiding the pitfalls that centralized exchanges can provide. Say we do have the market massively crash, which crypto will do the same as all other ones. Stock markets crash, housing markets crash, markets crash. It is normal. And when we do, we may have companies that fail. I would definitely not want to have my crypto sitting on any of those companies when that happens. An example would be FTX. Everybody was storing their crypto, their money on FTX. Everything was hunky-dory for years, no problem at all. Turns out Sam Bankman-Fried or whatever, he was stealing your money the entire time. Guess what? They waited years to get back their investment and to get back their money. Think about it in the same way. You don't want to be the one sitting there holding the bag for years waiting to get your crypto back. It's much better to just go ahead, put it on your own wallet. I've helped Mike set up his. I know Mike has one of these. I know that he's got his stuff over there. Yeah. It's not that bad.
Wallet. And you know, Ledger is one of our sponsors. Well, they're not a sponsor. We're an affiliate with them. But yeah, Ledger Nano S wallet is what I have. Nano S Plus. I'm showing that up on the screen. You sign up, you buy it. It's about $80 plus shipping. And you know, it's not. I'm not going to say it's a simple process because it's not. And I did also consult with Zester, you know, which you do for about $50 an hour, right? Zester, yeah, give or take.
But that service is coming out very soon to make it a lot easier. So very soon it'll be possible to book
walk you through how to get it all on your hardware wallet, and then nobody can touch this unless they have your 12-word password, which if you're smart, they're not going to get their hands on. So it's safe there. I mean, I feel very safe about my crypto and stuff. And in addition to that, guess what? If you sign up through the link that's in the description, both on Rumble and YouTube, you get $10 of free crypto. I get $10 of free crypto. And guess what? Zester also gets $10 of free crypto. So everybody shoots, everybody scores. So that's one of the things, you know, I didn't usually do that as an advertisement, but it does work.
What I would say, though, Carolina Girl, and this is one that I think this is a very important one, because whenever markets are going up like this, a lot of people get into a panic about making things happen. They're like, oh, crap, I put it off. Didn't matter because, well, it wasn't that much money, or there was other things that were more important at the time. A lot of times people get into this, oh, crap, I need to go suddenly learn how crypto works the second that crypto is hot, which, number one, not the right time. But two, just keep in mind, and this is and I use there's more analogies that I like to use back and forth to try to make it easier. Keep in mind that it's kind of a similar idea to your wallet. If you have $100, $200 of XRP sitting on Coinbase or sitting on Uphold, don't worry. Just leave it sitting there. You know, you're not in a rush. It doesn't need to happen tomorrow. It doesn't need to happen today. Ultimately, you need to think about the two as long-term storage and short-term storage. I keep money in my wallet. Is it safer if all my money was in here? Yes. But ultimately, I keep money in my wallet because I have to spend money, I interact with it, et cetera, et cetera. I keep money in my Coinbase account always. I always have some money in there. Is it very much? Is it as much as I have stored on my hardware wallets? No, not at all. But it's there. I'm never worried about losing it. I use it to make more purchases. I use it to send back to my bank account if I need some money for something. You don't need to overanalyze this when it comes to the distinction between a hardware wallet and a centralized exchange. If you're on Coinbase, you got a couple $100. You just need to start thinking about, okay, when I start to get more and more and more, I need to remember long-term storage, short-term storage is in the centralized exchange, but I don't need to be panicking. I've had money in Coinbase for 8 years. I have never lost a penny of it. Now, when the Canadian trucker event happened, though, Coinbase stopped accounts from sending money to the truckers.
They're douchebags.
That Those are the type of things you are avoiding by getting off the centralized exchange.
By the way, RV update, TNT Tony's call is delayed until later this evening. Hopefully the best call yet. He's being told, and remember, Tony works for the banks and the 3-letter agencies. That's where he gets his information from, right? Sort of the deep state banker side of things. But that indicates to me that he's being told that we're going to see something today, which is not inconsistent with what I'm hearing. So let's keep that, let's just take that and let's see if he has anything when it comes up. Okay, Aussie Mom says, Zester and Mike, I currently have my crypto in Bitstamp. And by the way, we are not giving financial advice here, folks. We're not. This is not financial advice. We're just telling you what we would do if we were in your position. I keep hearing that it isn't safe on Bitstamp unless it's in a cold wallet. I'm terrified of losing it when I transfer to a wallet. I'm a newbie with this. Well, I mean, I think you could really benefit from booking a session with Zester, and we'll show you how to do that by the end of the show, and having him walk you through it. But I don't think she's really in danger. Is she, Zester? Or how do you feel about Bitstamp? You know way more about it.
Aussie Bob, this one kind of goes back to the same. Now, Bitstamp, I would say, I had a Bitstamp account. I don't have any money sitting in Bitstamp, so I don't know if things have changed. But typically speaking, Aussie Mom, I would not be panicking. And that's just the thing you don't want to do. Ultimately, do you want to move your crypto to cold storage at some point? Yes, you absolutely do. But you don't need to go panicking and go getting yourself into a rush, because that's when you will make mistakes. And so, Aussie Mom, first things first here, go ahead, find where, and make that distinction yourself. How much money in my Bitstamp account, how much money in crypto is the point in time where I want to make an $80 investment or I want to make a $100 investment in a long-term storage option to keep it safe in the long term. That's a personal decision for everybody. Some people have a far, far, far higher pain threshold when it comes to money. Some people have thousands and thousands of dollars and they say, when it hits 10 grand, I'll worry about setting up a hardware wallet. Other people have $100 in their Coinbase account and they go, it's time. It's time. I'm not losing that 100. I'm spending the $80 to get a hardware wallet. That is a different decision for different people. It all is personal. Ultimately, though, Aussie, you want to be planning towards being on a hardware wallet sometime soon. But you don't need to go rushing into the situation. You're much better off doing some research, get one, and then send one XRP to it. This is something everybody out there should be doing this. Send test transactions. When you are first learning, send test transactions. I still send test transactions, and I have sent millions of dollars for companies in my work via the blockchain. I have facilitated people sending money and helped with it and helped with that process. I have clicked the button and known that if I was wrong, it was a 6-figure mistake. And I have never had an issue because I still, to this day, send test transactions. After all this time, I still do it. And so I highly recommend everybody else who hasn't sent thousands, because I have sent thousands. If you have not and you're just getting started, do the same thing I do. Send test transactions. You send $1. If the dollar shows up on the other side, you send $10. If you've got $11 now on the other side, you've probably got it all set up right. You can probably go ahead and send the rest.
This is interesting. Clara and Wayne Dodson say crypto and all this is way over our head. I need to sit down to handle it. That's exactly what Zester is good for, and we'll talk about that in a second. But let me give you an example. I understand this, Clara and Wayne. Cryptos sometimes make no sense. I've been listening to people invest in this crypto, invest in that crypto. I watch videos for years. And some guy comes on and he says, I think Cardano is a really good coin. And I'm like, what the fuck is Cardano? So let me read you what Cardano actually says it is. And this is like the 5th or 6th ranked, 8th ranked crypto out there. Here's what it says. Cardano, this is their website. Cardano is a blockchain platform for change makers, innovators, and visionaries with the tools and technologies required to create possibility for the many as well as the few and bring about positive global change. And then down here it says, Cardano is a proof-of-stake blockchain platform. the first to be founded on peer-reviewed research and developed through evidence-based methods. It combines pioneering technologies to provide unparalleled security and sustainability to decentralized application systems and societies. I don't like that. With a leading team of engineers, Cardano exists to redistribute power from unaccountable structures to the margins, to individuals, and to be an enabling force for positive change and progress. Zester, that is word salad worthy of Kamswala Harris. What the fuck does any of that mean? Cardano is nothing. I mean, again, this may as well be a meme coin as far as I'm concerned. This is why people are so confused about what the hell cryptos really are. And does any of that make any sense to you, really, what they do?
This is a regular one, and this is always funny when you talk to people in the crypto industry, because they'll regularly be like, why doesn't anybody understand what we're doing? Like, why doesn't anybody understand it? And then you give them an example just like that, where literally it's a bunch of buzzwords, it's a bunch of technical jargon, it's ideological, and in many ways, now I guess there's two ways to look at this. One way is it's a very technical space. And because it's in early days, it is very technical, and it's not exactly the most user-friendly. There's a lot of buzzwords. There's a whole verbiage that's kind of been established for the industry because we had to make up words. It is new. There are no old hats, in all honesty.
You know, most people don't even know what the hell that is, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, well, I would say one thing here is that most companies like Cardano is US based. And so Cardano has been utilizing the words that they've been legally allowed to use for a very long time. And so there has been a very much an issue in terms of regulation. And so a lot of companies used word salads like this because essentially they didn't know, their lawyers were the ones putting together these word salads. But I think that there's an absolutely fair point to be said here that you're kind of making here, Mike, is that many of these different crypto projects are not going to succeed in the long run. Now, Cardano, I don't know. Charles Hoskinson is considered to be a bit of a pioneer in the industry of technology.
He's the one started by some guy who was on a different crypto like Ethereum or something and got into a fight with the people that were running that and went off and started his own coin, right? That's what Cardano is?
Yeah. Charles Hoskinson, and he's got a bit of a cult following over at Cardano. And so I would honestly say I'm not selling out. I own Cardano. I don't own that much of it, but I own some. But undoubtedly, there are going to be projects and companies that end up being nothing more than vaporware.
Which brings us to the next couple of questions, which is pretty interesting, how this is all flowing very smoothly. Zester, what happens to cryptocurrencies that are deemed scam, but value is still listed? And there's another one in here about NewGen. Okay, what is it? Because we talked about NewGen. I had a lot of NewGen. They sponsored us for a while, and then they evaporated. Where is it?
And so essentially, though, to kind of that there are a few different things that could be going on. But Mary Peterson, most often, this is an API issue. And what APIs are is they're data connections. And they're collecting data from one source. And so, Mary, in the case of, like, say, your wallet, maybe your wallet is saying, oh, this yada yada scam token is worth a fortune. Well, it's saying that because the API is bugged out. If you actually go to sell it, the money doesn't exist. And so I could technically create a liquidity pool, Mary. And so liquidity pools are trading pairs that allow for people to participate, go back and forth and trade. I could create a liquidity pool for a token that has $1 in it, but I set the value of the tokens at $1,000. But there's only $1 actually there. But on your wallet, on your screen, it's saying it's $1,000 a token. The problem is there's no money. You can't sell. There's no money to sell it to. And so it's a bug, essentially. But Mary, very often, it's an intentional bug because what happens? You see in your account, in your wallet, you see somewhere some asset that's worth $1 million. And so you click on it and you start researching it and you start looking into it, and potentially you end up falling into the scam yourself. And so be very, very, very aware whenever you see an odd price come up for a cryptocurrency. Go to a CoinGecko or a CoinMarketCap, type in that cryptocurrency and see what the actual price is. And that's just a good way to double check, is whenever you're seeing a weird price on your screen in your app, go and double check it against another trusted outlet like a CoinGecko or a CoinMarketCap, who probably have pretty accurate price data.
This Layla says, Mike, buy a new mic. Sure are great mics. Yeah, I'm just about done with this fucking Blue Yeti thing. I can't get the sound right. Everybody sounds better than me. I don't know why. But the best Shure mic, the one that Mark was talking about the other night, Zester's dad, it's like $549 or something. I'm like, I don't want to pay $750 for a freaking microphone. So, okay. Here's another interesting. Is there any truth to the risk, Titletown is, that of losing XRP during a cold wallet ledger firmware update?
Okay, that's a great question, Titletown. That's a great question. And so a very, very important thing here is to remember that your 24 words, that's really your wallet. And so if during a firmware update, something crazy were to happen, you were to be struck by lightning, the rapture, whatever, something absolutely crazy occurs out of nowhere and it messes up the firmware update. Let's just say, now this is very unlikely, Titletown. I mean, the chances of this occurring are, blue moon, a bird pooping on top of your head while you're riding a unicycle down the yellow brick road type rare. It's very, very, very rare. But if it were to occur, because undoubtedly it has and it will occur in the future to someone, because something will happen. Remember, if you have your 24 words, everything is okay. And so just remember that whenever you're updating your cold wallet, it is a very important time to recheck. Do I have my 24 words before I do this update? It's a good little step. I do it. I check to see that I have my 24 words before I update. But I have also updated a lot of ledgers and never had to put my words back in. Just make certain you have them as a worst case, absolute something hit the fan situation. But don't over worry about it. Just keep your 24 words safe in the same way you should be doing.
Greenflex wants to know if you think Trezor is a good wallet.
Trezor is probably the second largest hardware wallet out there. I have not heard any complaints at all. I do not poo-poo upon essentially any of the cold wallets out there. I do think that Ledger is probably, because they're the biggest company, they have the most partnerships, they have the most functionality, they connect to the most wallets. I really do. I always recommend. That's what people who work in crypto use. If you are hired to work for a crypto company, whether you're managing their liquidity pools or managing their transfers or whatever, you are going to be utilizing a hardware wallet from Ledger 99% of the time. And so that's what I use because I work in the industry. I use these wallets. I've used them forever. But ultimately, my biggest concern is that you have your crypto on a cold wallet, not which cold wallet you have it on. Because the rules are the same. If you have a Trezor, remember those words. Write those words down. Keep those words safe. If you have a Ledger, remember those words. Keep those words safe. If you have a SafePal or any other one, same exact idea. Keep those words safe. Don't do anything silly with them. And so if you already own a Trezor Greenflex, don't go buying a new one. I just recommend if you're first getting into it, then I would go with the big company. I'd go Ledger.
You don't have one.
But if you already own one, don't go wasting money buying another.
A couple of questions. Lucy wants to know when can the Ethereum I'm holding from the NewGen Coins Exchange being held in the MetaMask wallet be accessible? Yeah, that disappeared about a year ago. And do you see us being able to get our Ethereum, or is it still tied to the RV? It is absolutely tied to the RV, what New Gen Coin was doing. But Zester, we talked about how, in fact, you don't think it was real Ethereum that we ever converted to. It was some sort of shadow coin of Ethereum, right? And on that whole New Gen thing.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm just gonna tell you, I don't have anything out of it either. I mean, if it's lost, I lost it. I do think when the RV happens, we will get that back, but hopefully none of us will need it. But anyway, Zester, what do you think about that whole situation?
Yeah, I remember when you and I went through that one, because you had asked, and then I helped someone else that you had talked to try to access theirs. We tried a bunch of times to get access to it, and we did not have any success. And I cannot find any proof on the blockchain that Ethereum exists.
Yeah.
And so it maybe after the RV, my guess is that after the RV, whoever these guys are, they're planning on just literally buying you Ethereum and giving it to you to compensate for the losses. That's honestly what I imagine, but I can't be certain. I don't want to cast any aspersions, but I know when Mike and I tried to get that New Gen Ethereum out, we never even found what we were looking for.
Even though at one time it had a value and everything on it, in the MetaMask wallet, and now the network just seems like it's not connected. And I know some of the guys that were working with New Gen, and they were honest guys, but I think people at the top maybe were not so good. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I wasn't a part of that one when it was active. I only came in essentially as part of the cleanup crew for folks that had participated in it. And so I wasn't there to hear the messaging from New Gen. I wasn't there to hear the sales pitch. I wasn't there for any of that. And to my knowledge, they deleted most all of that off the internet. You can't find it anymore to even see what all they were
they
saying.
came in and sponsored the show for about 6 months for not a whole lot of money, but they came in and sponsored the show. And the guys that were involved were sincere people. And then I think the company kind of pulled the rug out from under. I think what they did is they sold out to somebody else, took the money and ran, is what happened. But we don't know. So we don't know. And again, you still have this credit in your MetaMask wallet. You just can't see what it's worth. I think they're going to have to reconnect it to something else. And that's going to create a value in the end. Otherwise, they're all going to prison. Otherwise, they are all going to prison. So,
there could be a giant pile of Ethereum sitting somewhere. Absolutely could, and I hope that there is for everybody. I hope that there is.
Okay. Wendy wants to know, where can I get XRP and XLM? Lots of different places. I use Lobster to get, I believe, my XLM on the Lobster wallet initially.
I would highly recommend Uphold or Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini. In all honesty, my first recommendation, Wendy, would be Coinbase. Coinbase would be my number one recommendation. This is another one, and there are a lot of times where I think people kind of say, people hear me say, "Oh, use Coinbase," and they think that is a massive endorsement of Coinbase. Coinbase and these exchanges are services. I need their services. You need to be able to bring money from the fiat system to the blockchain, and from the blockchain back to the fiat system. You need an exchange to do that. Coinbase is a publicly traded U.S. company. They are a publicly traded company. They are backed by massive insurance companies. They're backed by massive financial partners. The Coinbase executive works for the Trump crypto teams. And so when it comes down to it, I recommend Coinbase every time. I am not endorsing the company. I'm endorsing the ease of access, the general security that they have, and just saying, hey, I have never had an issue buying on Coinbase and then taking my crypto to wherever it is that I actually want to store it.
Like your Ledger wallet, right? Like your Ledger and And
Lobster, I would highly recommend, and I know that a lot of folks used it. I would highly recommend that you avoid Lobster unless you're very careful. Lobster is perfectly safe if you're very knowledgeable about crypto. What Lobster does is Lobster has these mirrored or tokenized assets on the platform. And so you'll look up XRP and you'll get XRP on the XLM blockchain, or you'll get XRP blah, 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 or you'll get BXXRP or LLXXRP. You'll get all of these options. It's very confusing for people. And it often results in people buying scam assets, not knowing that they're buying the wrong one. People are just like, oh, if I buy on this one, I get XRP for $1 cheaper. Well, guess what? It's because you're not buying XRP. You're buying some random asset, random cryptocurrency. Yeah. I would highly recommend Coinbase. I do like Uphold, and Uphold is fairly clear. And so I would probably recommend Coinbase, and then either a Kraken, Gemini, or
Gary Seven has a couple questions. When members of Congress start putting their personal money into crypto, that's when we will see it move. They are doing that. They are insider trading on crypto, just the way they've been insider trading on stocks. Yep. So that is happening, Gary. And then the other question is, what about other crypto besides XRP? Zester, what other cryptos do you own? I own some Dogecoin because Elon, Doge, he knows something. Zester, what other cryptos do you own that you like for yourself? We're not telling anybody.
Of course, not in any way telling people what to buy, but I would say, and so I always use one crypto as an example because it's one that nobody seems to know anything about. And it's a very, very important one. And it really highlights what's important to be paying attention to in this point in time, and has been important to pay attention to for the past decade in crypto. And it's Chainlink. Chainlink is a token built on the Ethereum blockchain. It is a large company. They just partnered with MasterCard to bring crypto payments to 3 billion MasterCard users. What Chainlink does is Chainlink connects data from off-chain to on-chain. It connects data from the traditional technology to the new system of both finances and technology that's on the blockchain.
Market cap right now, so listed 14, so doing really well.
Yep. And so I use them as an example because that is a fundamental value. They serve a necessary need for the future of the financial system. They are not a Bitcoin or an XRP or an Ethereum. You do not use Chainlink to send Chainlink. You use Ethereum to send Chainlink. Chainlink's just built on the Ethereum blockchain. But every single company that operates in the crypto space is a customer of Chainlink. You have to be, or you can't get your data on chain. They are selling picks and blue jeans during the gold rush while everybody else is busy buying the gold. And remember, it was Levi's that made it. Levi's is still a world revolving company that dominates. Nobody remembers old Jim the prospector who hit it big back in the 1800s in California. Him and his family are broke. They never saw any of that make it past a generation. The people who were selling pickaxes, who opened up general stores, who built the infrastructure, they are the long-term succeeders. And that's where you need to look at a crypto as less as a one thing. Cryptocurrency is not just one thing. Chainlink is an entirely different sector than XRP. Bitcoin, entirely different sector. And so I own cryptos across the different sectors. I have VeChain. VeChain is designed on tracking packages and tracking the origin of things. And so creating an actual trustable shipping network and distribution system where I would be able to see where my products come from and things of that nature from across the world with nothing more than a quick QR scan. That's an entirely different sector. And so I own VeChain. I own Chainlink. I own Bitcoin. I own Ethereum. I own XRP. I own XLM. I own Cardano. All of these different cryptos do different things. And I think it's very important that people start to look at it that way. And then you'll start to see this more as a stock market. And less as a slot machine.
That's a really great analogy. Samanden RI forces. Is there a possibility of a one-on-one to help set up an account, like a one-on-one for dummies? I'm trying to learn, but quite frankly, it's really foreign to me. I only have experience in buying metals. Well, guess what? That's what Zester does in his spare time. If you go, you can catch up to him on Twitter X under the Crazy Kryptonaut, @Crazy Kryptonaut. And Zester, why don't you tell everybody about what you offer and what
Okay, and so Minden, of course, one thing is you can go check out my YouTube channel, which has all the recorded videos, which probably go through most all of the different things that you would need. And so that is Crazy Kryptonaut on YouTube. You'll be able to go through, see my old recorded videos, see the live streams where I answer people's questions. That is one option. The other option, Saminden, is you can shoot me an email and we can actually set up a time to do a one-on-one, which is a service that I am currently building out. Very soon, you will be able to actually go in and book a time slot, and then we will sit down and we will just together on the computer with our cameras on, seeing screens, we will go through and we will get it handled for you. And so two options there, Saminden. There's always the option to go through, watch some videos. I might have a video that solves exactly what your question is. If not, you can access through any of my videos you'll see, or any of my lives. You'll see in the description a link tree where you can then send me an email. And then we can start to work towards something one-on-one. Very much a heads up to everyone right now. Whenever crypto markets do stuff like this, I turn into the prettiest girl at the ball. And I become a very, 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 very popular person to send messages to. And so I would just say there is going to be a delay until I'll be able to get responses out. I mean, I over the past couple of days, I think I've gotten over 100 text messages in regards to different people with questions, because the market's booming. The market booms, everybody becomes very, very interested in moving their crypto and things around. And so don't worry, though. I will absolutely get to helping you, Saminden. But in the short term, you can watch some of the videos and start learning a little bit about it. Because no matter what, when we sit on a one-on-one, I cannot physically do most of these things for people because, well, there's not a regulatory framework for me as a financially to do that.
Again, when you use things like the Ledger wallet, there is a lot of button pushing that goes on and things that you have to do to move around. So that is important stuff. And then it's Crazy Kryptonaut on YouTube and Crazy Kryptonaut on Twitter are two places. Twitter X are two places to find Zach. So get over there, watch the videos, catch up, and learn. And then, again, you can get a hold of him as you need to. Mark wants to know quickly, just what is a safe cold wallet?
Hey, I would check out Mike Bara's link down there for a ledger and get some Bitcoin back for having made the purchase. The big thing that you have to do, though, when you are doing that is you need to make a decision about whether you are a computer person or a phone person. That does dictate which type of hardware wallet you most likely want. They do make adapter cords to be able to plug in these that don't have a battery. They do make those, but you will have to go out and purchase a separate adapter cord in order to use, say, Ledger Nano S Plus, like what Mike and I have. You will need a special cord to plug it into a phone, or you will need to plug it into a computer. And the reason is because it doesn't have Bluetooth or a battery. If you really want to be able to connect to a phone and you don't want to have a special cord or anything like that, don't want to figure it out, you're going to need to go for a more expensive ledger or more expensive hardware wallet that has Bluetooth and a battery, so that you can do that.
The whole point of the hardware wallet is not to have Bluetooth connection. In other words, have it offline so nobody can find a way in there. It's a remote possibility, but never zero.
Yeah. I really do. And I think in the future, we're going to have cool little devices that we can walk around with that will be very, very secure in that regard. The Ledger Flex and Ledger Stack, they're very expensive, but they are really awesome. Does the average crypto holder need one? No, not at all. But at some point in the future, I think devices like that will get much cheaper and they will start to become something that people more commonly walk around with. It'll just work in a different way, where essentially it'll be like a segregated version of your account where you just only have access to, say, $1,000 in the same way that your credit and debit cards work right now. Think about how you essentially have spending limits. Credit or debit card goes out there, somebody steals it, whatever. Somebody starts swiping it. At a certain point, the bank's going to say, hey, we can't sell anymore. You're going to start getting functionality like that. You're going to start seeing the world of banking and the world of cryptocurrency become the exact same thing. We've always been the same thing. We've just used different words because of the way that the laws work. But ultimately, we've always been the same. And you're going to see that become more and more true, especially with the passage of things like the Genius Stablecoin Act. Expect Amazon and Walmart are probably going to launch stablecoin programs very soon. They have an expectation around $14 to $16 billion of savings per year just at Amazon if they were to move over to accepting stablecoins and incentivizing people to pay in stablecoins. So expect a lot to change.
I'm letting Miss Fluffy Muffy play with my Ledger Nano wallet cable, so got to be careful about that. Lucy, this is a quick one. I wonder if XRP is for gold-backed and XLM is for silver-backed blockchains. Am I looking at that correctly?
You know, I have heard this one so often, and it's always been XRP is gold-backed and XLM is silver-backed. I would have to tell you, from all of my research, I have never found anything from the companies, anything in terms of how their technology works, to verify this. And I think that really all we know is that XRP and XRP is planning on tokenizing gold, and XLM said they're planning on tokenizing silver. They never said they were going to be backed by gold and silver. And so I think this is really one of those. I think this is where there's been a bit of confusion. So XRP is tokenizing gold. Now, when XRP tokenizes gold onto the XRP ledger, I am going to need to spend XRP to tokenize gold, and I am going to need to spend XRP to send or to transact in that tokenized gold. And that is the part that the companies have told us they're planning on doing. That is absolutely a part of their business plan. Their business plan is they are going to tokenize precious metals, tokenize real-world assets. And I think that's where there got to be a little bit of a confusion, is that I don't believe, at least not right now, it does not appear that XRP is backed by anything or XLM is backed by anything. But these are the ones who are planning on achieving those markets of being the provider of that service. And in that way, they are going to be a part of gold-backed and silver-backed currencies, and XRP may become the dominant gold-backed token in the world, and XLM may become the dominant provider of silver-backed tokens on the planet. But ultimately, right now, we really do not know how that's going to work out. We just know that's their plan. But ultimately, the plan has not come to fruition yet. And so I would be a little hesitant in that one. I don't think, and some people see what I say there as being a negative. Please don't look at it that way. That is far more valuable and far more doable than any of the other options. That is going to make us as XRP holders, well, far more valuable, because when countries need to tokenize gold, they need to interact with gold, they need to interact with RLUSD, the stablecoin pegged to the US dollar on the XRP ledger. Every time they need to interact with these different tokens, they need to come to you and me, and they need to buy our XRP, because they need our XRP to utilize these financial vehicles. That's where our value proposition is. Our value proposition is that XRP is what runs the blockchain, and they are going to need our XRP in order to utilize the services of the XRP.
And that's where you're going to hit it. That's when the government comes in and says, we'd like to buy our XRP from you. How about 100,000 a coin? Okay, quick ones. Thoughts about Uphold? Should I get a new wallet? Would be willing to switch? I think you said Uphold was okay, right? There's no need to switch because it's a good one now. And then Derek wants to know, is Zaman a good app to use, or do you recommend a different one? And then
I've heard a lot of
the
positive.
Most economic wallet to buy for not a lot of money, the Ledger Nano S, the one with the link in the description. That's why we have it. But yeah, Zaman a good app to use. expert.
I've heard a lot of good things about Zaman. I know a lot of different people that use it. I haven't heard anything bad about it. I would just maintain the exact same as always. The same exact warning that I give to everyone is that just essentially remember that in the long run, you really need to take self-ownership over your cryptocurrencies, not your crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. Utilize these applications as services. They are services. They are not the end all be all of storing your crypto or your digital assets. And the reason that I say this is because at some point in time, the deed to your house is going to be tokenized. You're going to hold ownership over the deed to your house. Either are you going to hold it inside of a wallet you own, or are you going to hold it at the bank? These are questions about the future of finance and this new financial revolution where we're going to have to take ownership and responsibility over our finances if we really want it to be long lasting. Ultimately, the reason that it's so easy to screw us over financially, and it always has been throughout all of human history, is because we've never taken responsibility for owning and understanding how the financial system works. Ultimately, we say that's the bank's job, that's the government's job, that's the economist's job, that's yada 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 yada.
1099 OID. Did I say that out loud? No.
Yeah, exactly. We would all, this is me too. This is all of us. And then I'm in no way casting shade. This is a human condition. We just need to remember that with this new move towards a digital financial world, that we have the opportunity to take more ownership over our property and over the things that we own as human beings than we've ever had in our entire lives. Our birth certificates can finally be owned by us again. It really is a whole new world of ownership, and it redefines what owning something really means. In the past, we said, oh, I have this much money because it's in the bank, and the bank's going to give me my money. Ultimately, the bank has that money. We're moving towards a world where you're going to have that money, not the bank. You may use banks for services, but ultimately the need to store our ownership, the proof of ownership with another company, that is or should be going somewhat the way of the dodo.
Okay, we've kept Zester a long time, over an hour now. Zester, if you don't mind, we got some questions. Can we do a rapid fire where you answer the questions real quickly? We'll go through the ones that are left, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah. We'll see what I can do.
You're like Jen.
See what I can do.
When Jen gets on a roll, I just kind of sit back and like, okay, I have to wait for her to explain this whole thing. Okay, let's do that quickly and try to get through the rest of the questions here. Laura wants to know, is a Trust Wallet safe?
A Trust Wallet is a software wallet. It's free. It's easy to use. I have regularly been quoted as saying, don't trust Trust Wallet. I don't trust Trust Wallet. Trust Wallet there's nothing wrong with it. It's a free service. But I've had a lot of people who have gotten confused by it. I would highly recommend MetaMask over Trust Wallet unless there's a specific crypto that you just really need Trust Wallet.
Todd says rebuilding a cold wallet from seed or scratch after a failed firmware update was very stressful, but it worked. So don't freak out. It's not the end of the world if that happens.
No, I'm glad you said that, Todd, so that people out there know that it does. And it does. It's definitely stressful, but it's not end of the world.
Can you send XRP from Uphold to Ledger Wallet, or do I have to cash it out and buy it again? No, you can send it. Zester and I did it. I actually had, I believe I actually had my XRP and XLM in one of them in Lobster, and we just went through and he walked me through the transaction. I could have probably figured it out myself, but why do that when you have Brainiac up here to help you? Anything I said that was wrong there, Zester?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can send your XRP from Uphold directly to your XRP account on your Ledger wallet. And so no worry at all there. Now, when you do want to actually get money, out, you're going to need to send it back from Ledger to wherever you have a bank account connected so that you can sell for US dollars and you can put those US dollars, back into Wells Fargo.
And that can take hours or even days. But XRP is supposed to make that more instantaneous, because one of the things the new QFS is supposed to do, and XRP is supposedly the backbone of the QFS, is instant transactions of any asset, including cryptos. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And
yeah.
And that is coming.
Okay. What the heck was talking about the Cardano thing? What the heck was all that? It sounded like another language. And Dwayne Dyer says brought to you by AI. Probably AI written. It makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Desi says, I'm 66 this year, and I've just taken my time to learn the crypto world. Made mistakes, but that's how I learned. You can do this at any age. So she's encouraging you.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome.
Someone she still doesn't understand how it works. That's what this guy's for. You got a hold of him, help, and get some help from him. So Zester is saying we never wanted regular people in on this. Oh, I don't know that he said that. Did I hear that right?
Well, they did kind of. It has been kind of gated from a technology standpoint and a verbiage standpoint, and I don't think that was intentional. I think that's just very, very common. If you were to look throughout history, tends to be that the majority of people are very obstinate to change. You can go watch the recordings of people on major news networks who all screamed about how no moron would ever use a debit or a credit card. A little piece of plastic with all your information on it. No one would ever use that. And you can go through and you can see all of those recorded videos still on, posted to YouTube from back in, 60s, 70s, 80s, and all throughout. And you can see just how wrong many ended up being. Crypto is just in that space. It is so new. It's so foreign. Nobody understands how it works. And so that means that for 99.9% of all people, the market has been very much that way, where it's kept the average person out. I don't know whether it's intentional or whether it's just the way of new, the way of new and emerging markets.
And that lady is a short answer from Zester. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Zester being, really, really glib. Have either of you had experience with the mining of Pi? I've been mining in this platform for almost 2 years, and I have 1,800 plus Pi so far. What is Pi?
Pi was so Pi allows you to mine Pi on your phone and for free. And it became very popular, and it worked awesome for adoption of Pi because everybody wanted to be running the app on their phone, mining Pi for free. All I would say, Luce, is that I mined Pi way back. I had a little bit somewhere. Now, just recently, Pi finally started actually letting people sell their Pi, and well, the price of Pi kind of plummeted. But Luce, you got free crypto. And so, in all honesty, I think Pi has been awesome for teaching people about the blockchain, about things of that nature. But in all honesty, I can't really give you a very hard opinion on whether the value of your Pi is going to be going up in the future or not.
Okay. Lucy also says the new gen creator allegedly died. Yeah, that may or may not be true. Which is the best way to cash out my XRP on the ledger? We just talked about that. There are ways.
Yeah, send to Coinbase or whichever exchange you have a bank account connected to. Be very, very certain. Send test transactions. And whenever you are sending XRP or XLM or XDC or I believe Hedera to a centralized exchange, remember that you have got to include the destination tag or the memo address. Please, please, please be very careful whenever you are sending XRP, XLM, XDC, or any of the crypto tokens that require memos or destination tags. Be very careful and make certain that you include them. If not, you're going to have a very long conversation with Coinbase customer support where they slowly track down where the heck your XRP went. It is not fun.
Lucy says she's going to be talking to Paul about the new gen Ethereum today, and we'll pass this show on to them. Good. I'd like to hear more about it. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I feel like it's out of their control, but I don't feel like anybody tried to steal from us. But it would be nice to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I'd be curious on some more information because I was not a part of that, and so I really don't know what went on. So that also made it a lot harder to help.
D. Rambo says, Zester, I was sold the wrong cord for the connection from iPhone to the Nano S Plus. Can you suggest a brand name? Maybe Ledger does not work with the Apple iPhone. No.
I know Trish, Mile High Trish, who is my moderator over there. She is the professional with the adapter cord. On that one, D Rambo, I would need to ask Mile High Trish. She would probably have the answer for you. I know that Mile High Trish uses an Android, and so I don't know if that potentially is having an effect on it. And so I will need to go ahead and ask Mile High on that one. So my apologies, D Rambo. I always use the computer with mine, but Mile High Trish has been using the adapter cord for her phone Ledger Live with her Nano S Plus now for a year plus. So I know that she's become the pro.
Wendy wants to know if you have XLM also. I believe you said, yeah, you have a whole bunch of different cryptos, including XLM.
Yep, I have XLM. I do. I would say, and when it comes down to it, I have more XRP than XLM. And well, I've honestly looked at it the same way and gone, maybe I should have switched that ratio, because there is a lot of upside on the XLM side. But I find it to be far more important to just avoid the idea of all the eggs in one type of basket type deal. Ultimately, I want to be happy if XLM ends up winning the real world tokenization market, or if XRP wins the real world tokenization market. I'm betting on all the horses. I'm not planning on losing.
Just muted my microphone. She's laying on my desk, rubbing her head on my keyboard. Thank you, Miss Fluffy. So if I lost my volume, one more question, two more questions, then we'll get out of here. Forever CC says, while the chatter recently to get our digital assets off of cold wallets. I haven't heard that. Has that been some chatter?
I have been getting asked a lot more recently. I have been getting asked a lot more recently about that. Forever CC, I'm really not certain why there is such a push, or why that rumor is going around. When it comes down to it, I've not seen any logic or any reasoning behind it, but I have been hearing the same. So you're not alone at all. Forever CC, you are not alone.
I have my XRP on Robinhood, but I live in New York, and for some reason I can't transfer it off of Robinhood. Well, that's where you would contact Zester for his services, and he would probably try to help you with that.
Yes, and to my knowledge, Robinhood is still opening up the ability to withdraw certain cryptocurrencies. When Robinhood first started, and the way that Robinhood works, you do not actually purchase the cryptocurrency, and so Robinhood does not set up a wallet. You do not hold that XRP. Robinhood holds that XRP. And that is what's allowing Robinhood to provide that service in the state of New York. And so most likely what you have going on here right now, I believe, is either Robinhood is not allowing the withdrawal of XRP for either their own reasons or because of reasons of the state. They're not allowing it. But we could always check. Maybe there is a way to withdraw, but to my knowledge, certain states are not allowing withdrawal from the Robinhood app. And so that's why it's important. There's another distinction. Robinhood, it's same idea as stocks. Robinhood makes spending money and investing money on stuff super, super easy because corners are cut. That's what allows you to do it. Now, Robinhood actually, just a couple of days ago, launched tokenized stocks in Europe, where you can buy the tokenized form of U.S. stocks, from the U.S. New York Stock Exchange, and you can actually hold them as Europeans in a tokenized form. And so Robinhood is definitely, they are inventing in the space and in that regard. But I do believe that there are still certain things that you're not allowed to do because Robinhood is not the same idea as Coinbase.
Okay, and Rick, again, which Ledger wallet to buy? Link in the description. The Ledger Nano S is probably the best buy out there.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and really it is. And so Rich Roper, you want to use the Mike Bara's link because of, three reasons, I guess. One just depends on whether you like Mike or not, but 3 reasons we'll get. And so number 1 reason is to ensure that you buy it from the right place. Numero uno, you do not want to go getting anyone that's been tampered or get the wrong one. Number 1 reason. Number 2 reason, you're going to pay $80 for the Ledger Nano S Plus no matter where you buy it. But if you buy it through his link, you get some Bitcoin back for free in order for having done so. 3rd reason, and this is why I asked, it depends on whether you want to help Mike out. Mike also gets a little bit of Bitcoin for you using
And so
that
does
link.
Zester.
And so it ensures you save some money. You save some money, you give Mike some money, and you ensure that you don't buy it from the wrong
All right,
place.
Tyler, I didn't understand your question, and we don't have time for it because I need to go. I got to get this kitty to the vet. She needs her Silencia injection so she can move around better. She hates being picked up. Put it down there. All right, thank you guys for being here, Zester. Once again, you can find him on Twitter and YouTube.
Crazy
at Crazy
Kryptonon.
So there we go. All right. Any final thoughts, Zester, before we get out of here for the day?
No, nothing besides just it was a pleasure to come. I'm enjoying answering all the questions, and I'd be happy to come back and do more crypto time whenever whenever the community needs.
We should maybe think about doing this on a Friday on a regular basis. Jen used to do free reading Fridays, but she doesn't like to work Fridays anymore. So maybe if we want to make this a weekly thing, if it ends up being good for us, then we should just think about doing that. But we shall see.
All right, we'll have to look at it. But no, hope you're having an awesome.
You guys have a great
Mike.
weekend there in the PR. Say hi to your dad for me. I talked to him a little bit yesterday. Everybody out there, listen to Tony today. See what he's got. He does know some people, so we'll see what their side of the house is saying. Mark's saying something different. My people are telling me something different, but probably than what he's going to tell you. But he may, nobody knows who's right. Nobody know. You can trash Bruce all you want. You can trash Wolvie. You can trash Mark Z. You can trash me. But nobody knows who's going to end up being right about all this stuff. Hopefully, we're about to find out. Thanks for being here. We will see you again. Jen and I will be back on Monday. Everybody have a great weekend and get excited and stay excited because we're close. We're